Hello, my name's Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I've recently been through a divorce. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Today I'd like to chat a little bit about learning to trust myself again. One thing that's very common when someone goes through a divorce process is to lose trust in ourselves, to lose trust in our own judgment, to lose trust in our feelings, to lose trust in our sense that we can take care of ourselves, to lose trust in really the world around us, in people, in institutions, whatever the case may be. Loss of trust is a very common thing. But of the loss of trust that occurs, I really think that for me, the most challenging and difficult was the loss of trust within myself and for myself. That was really difficult. So I'd like to share a couple of things that really helped me get through that. I've talked to enough people to know that this is at least a common thing for people, is to lose trust in themselves. And a lot of that loss of trust comes because there were signs that things were not going well. Perhaps, like in my case, there were signs that there was problems in my marriage, and I ignored them at times. Sometimes I just thought to myself, if I just hold on, or if I just do this, or if I just do that, without addressing the situation directly, or whatever the case may be, and then that just blows up in your face. You realize that, one, that was a bad decision probably, but two, now there's a whole lot of hurt, and you hurt yourself a lot because of not trusting yourself to begin with. And so, and there could be reasons that at the time seemed reasonable to not trust yourself. Maybe you just thought, maybe I'm having a bad week right now, or maybe I'm just having a hard time generally speaking, and so I can't really trust myself. But in the end, what your gut was telling you was right all along. There's a part of you that was trying to warn you. For me, there was something that was telling me something was wrong, and for a multitude of reasons, I didn't listen to it. And so then here you are in this position where you're hurt, or at least that's where I was. I was very hurt, and because of that, I stopped. I had a very difficult time trusting myself. If you read a little bit of psychology, they'll talk about, your subconscious versus your conscious mind, or sometimes they'll talk to, I've read about like, your lizard brain versus your higher functioning brain, or there's a million ways that it seems that psychiatrists talk about it. But in the end, there was two parts of me. There was a part of me that would sometimes panic, sometimes just freak out internally. And when probably my higher functioning brain was trying to tell me, calm down, it's okay, the inside of me, it's like my emotions, my lizard brain, whatever that is, did not trust it. And it would just run roughshod over the rest of me. And so it was trying to keep that under control. And so the method that worked for me to at least start the process of trusting myself again was and this may sound crazy, but was to treat myself as two different selves. And so what happened was, specifically, I remember being at work one day, and I was at my job, and I had to do stuff, and I felt the panic and the hurt and everything coming. And I remember closing my door at work, and I closed my eyes, and I kind of, in essence, meditated a little bit and told myself, I said, Josh, you can't deal with this right now. Like right now, like you've got this deadline, you've got to get this stuff done. Your family depends on it because, this is your income that provides for your family. You need to keep it together right now. And I said, but this is where the magic came in, and it didn't come. This was just pure inspiration or what, I don't know, but but it's what worked. I told myself, but I promise you I'll give you some time tonight, and we'll work it out. And so that seemed to subside for a minute. So I opened my office door and went back to work. A couple hours later, panic came back, and I kind of had to redo that all over again. And then, but that night, when I got home from work, I made sure that I spent some time meditating. For me, that's how I dealt with it, as I meditated. And in my mind, I would get into a comfortable position, I'd close my eyes, and the place where my mind would go was to a beautiful lake with a long dock on it. And at the end of that dock was a version of me that was very hurt, that was just filled with pain. And it felt all the hurt feelings, right? Anger and rage and just sadness and depression and just everything that goes along with it. All of it was there. And I remember in my mind, I walked to the edge of the deck and I just sat right next to my hurt self. And I just sat. And I didn't say anything in my mind. I just felt it. And then eventually I put my arm around it. And I just embraced it. And then eventually it kind of calmed down. I mean, it was still there. The hurt didn't just disappear, but the panic subsided. And in my mind, I got up when I felt that it was calm, and I walked away, and I left. And that was kind of my meditation for that day. And so, the next day, I'm at work again, and that panic and everything comes back. And I said to myself, I didn't have to close my door. I could actually do it a little more subtly. I could just say, okay, I'll give you your time after work. A couple hours later, it kind of came again, and then I had to do it all over again. That night, I had the same meditation, the exact same one. Well, after about a week of this, I noticed that it was farther and farther between. Now, maybe it was 2 days, that I'd had this kind of sense of panic. And I would do the same thing. But instead of it happening twice while at work, it got to a point where it happened sometime during the day. And then I would tell myself, I'll give you your space after work. And then after work, I always kept my appointment with myself. No matter what was going on, I had an appointment with myself that I had to keep. The benefit of this was, for me, is that was the beginning of me trusting myself again. It was the beginning of, I don't know if it's my subconscious mind starting to accept that my conscious mind would listen to it, or my lizard brain would listen to my higher functioning brain. However you describe that, I'm not a psychiatrist. But that for me was the beginning of me trusting myself again. It was the beginning of me acknowledging my emotions in a healthier way, but also learning to compartmentalize them when I would need to, so I could deal with the things I had to, because I learned to trust myself enough to deal with them and to not ignore them and to not suppress them and not just to let that pain fester, but I would take time to deal with it. And as I kept the appointment, because that in the beginning, that was the big deal. It was keeping the appointment. But then it became more about, not about the appointment per se, but it really did come to that hurt part of me, trusting the other part of me to say, I know you'll take care of me. And it was interesting because then it kind of reintegrates. Within my mind, as I would meditate, it wasn't that it's hard to explain, but basically it reintegrated. And the emotional and the hurt and all that kind of came back within myself. And so I wasn't a split person anymore. I was a person, I was whole, I could trust myself. And that was one of the signs that my healing was really coming in a good direction. Was that I noticed I just started trusting myself. If I felt hurt, I didn't feel this sense of division within myself. It was, I could just acknowledge that I felt hurt. And I also could acknowledge when I felt that hurt that I would take care of myself. And that's really where things like self-care and P.I.E.S and all that stuff kind of came into play, was because I was doing the work on myself that was kind of teaching my lizard brain, if you will, that I was going to take care of me, that I could take care of all of me. And now when I meditate, I don't have to, I still meditate occasionally, I should say, but I don't have to go to the dock anymore, to my hurt self, because there is no hurt self on the dock. It is all part of me. Now, sometimes if I can't figure out, maybe I'm upset about something and I can't figure out, I'll go to meditation and I'll try to dive deep and figure out what it is that's bothering me, get to the root of that and fix it. But there's no division. I know I can handle myself now. And I know this may sound all a little hippie-ish or something. I don't know. I don't know. And if I had told myself this 5 years ago, I probably would have thought I was crazy, truthfully. But I can tell you that is what worked for me, was setting appointments with myself and spending the time and sitting with my pain. And it felt like giving it attention. That doesn't mean I was acting out on it. It didn't mean I was doing anything negative with it. I was just acknowledging its existence. And I was sitting with it and letting it know that I would be there for it. And that was enough to start that beginning to trust myself again and again, which has led to a lot of healing. Anyways, my name is Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This channel is not endorsed by the church. All my thoughts are my own. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just someone who's been through a divorce, learned a few things along the way, and I hope some of the things I've learned can help you too. Thanks for coming to my channel.